Now, once you've gone through the technicals, oh, one more. Posture. Posture. That's always a good thing to comment on. Do they stand nice and straight? Do they dance? Do they do this all the time? I know people, basically, this is their position when they speak. Is this a good position to speak from? I don't know how you don't break your knee. Last technical. Now, once you get through the technicals, you can't find technicals. That 2007 speech, I couldn't find any technicals. This guy was spot on perfect. Not an ah, not an moved the stage with purpose. Eye contact was awesome. He was just connecting with everybody. Technicals, nothing. So, I moved on. Content. Once again, don't talk about the speech. If you're talking about content, you're talking about how the content affected you. I'm a professional speech coach, and I coach a lot of CEOs, and the very first thing I ask them when they come in is give me one sentence about what your speech is about. If you can't do that, you haven't thought enough about this speech. If you watch that person's speech and you can't come up with that sentence, then they didn't think enough about that speech. The speech didn't have enough meat to it to support the concept of the speech. If I see something, that's the first thing I'm going to jump on. What was your speech about? You see it in the humor speech contest all the time. Funny. Oh, knock down, drag out, we're falling out of the chair. We're starting becoming incontinent, you know. Funny. And then you get to the end and you go, what was that speech about? And the problem is you don't remember those. They're funny, you laugh. You remember laughing, but you don't remember what the speech was. What was the speech about? Now, once you figured that out, or not figured that out, if they had or didn't have it, did the speech do that? Did the opening set you up? Did the body make the point? Did the conclusion drive it home? If that's not in there, comment on it. Oh, yeah, okay. Once you figured out your sentence, did the opening set it up? Did the body make the point? And did the conclusion drive it home? If they didn't do those three, then they missed an opportunity. And this is the one that I used out of the 2007 guide. I have 1 point for them. Usually in a contest I try to do 3 things. Most judges will try to find 3 things that you said that they can improve on. By the way, no speakers have problems. They just have opportunities to improve. His speech was all about him. And I don't know how many times he used the word I in his speech, but it was over and over and over and over. Now, let's be honest, people. Who is the person we care about most in the world? I. Who's lying? You want to hear about you. How does this speech affect you? Not how it affects him. It was a great story for him, but how does it affect us? Always look for that. And here's my thing about the opportunity missed. This is where you can spot things to talk about, things to add. How could they have made that speech more about the audience? Now, in the 2000 speech, not only did I bring it up, the fact that the speech was all about him, then I brought up specific things he could have done to change it by just changing some of the wording. From I to we. From me to us. And I just gave some specific sentence examples. And it clicked. Everybody in the audience got it? He came up afterward and said, you know what? I never thought about that. You're the first person who's ever mentioned it. And should have been everyone you mentioned. A speech should always, always, always be about your audience. If it isn't, you didn't deliver a speech, you told a story for yourself. And we all know, there's records out there, bands that do that, where the guy's just the most incredible guitar player of all time. And you hear his album, and the album sounds like track 2, track 3. He's playing for himself.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Beatles are selling 150 million albums with very simple 4 or 5 chord songs because people can sing along with it. That's what your speech should be. The audience wants to sing along with your speech. Good stuff so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right. You got here your evaluation points for the evaluation contest, including all the rules, which we all know we hate hearing, right? So, trust me, I'm not reading this. But if you turn to the evaluation form itself, which looks like that, this is what the judges use. Now, if you're a judge, I want to point this out to you too, because I've seen this blown so many times, I can't tell you. Notice what it says on the very bottom line. Summary, 15 points. I can't tell you how many times I've seen winning evaluations that have no summary. They should not win. That's a 15%, unless they murdered everybody else. That is an automatic 15-point deduction. That means that you're now working on a scale of 85 instead of 100. And usually in contests, the gap isn't that big. The gap's 5, 6 points. 15 points will take you right out of it. When I create my evaluation form, I use like a T format, something Al taught me a long time ago. I use like a T format. All my positive stuff's on the left, all my improvement stuff's on the right. And at the bottom, when I set up the sheet, here's the T, summary. I write it down so I don't forget. If you're in a contest and I'm judging, you don't do a summary, you lost 15 points. You pretty much wiped yourself out of that contest for me. Look at some of this other stuff. Analytical quality. I'm looking for, as a judge, either that one that's really, really awesome, or 3 positives and 3 improves. Can you do that? Can you give me 3 in each? You're going to get a lot of points from me if you can. Recommendations. Don't just tell me why I think you're right. Tell me how to fix it. Like what I was doing with that 2007 speech. I just didn't say you talk about yourself all the time. I gave specific examples of how to change it. Technique, that's basically just speaking, and the fact that in a good evaluation, if I'm giving an evaluation to Jeff, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and especially Jeff. My evaluation is for Jeff. It's not for you guys. You guys are just the flies on the wall. My evaluation is for Jeff. So unless I'm really saying something that the whole crowd needs to hear, like, we all should really do something like that, and I'm going to go right back to Jeff. If I don't see that in something, if I don't see them really focus on that person, I start taking points. Now let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you've done all this stuff, and you still can't figure out what to say. The person's still too good. When I was practicing for the regionals in 2006, I got 1 more minute. I went into a club and I gave a speech, and people at the club were going, "Oh, well, we're not really qualified to comment on your speech." Yes, you are. If nothing else, you can tell us about how that speech made you feel. A great speech hits you here. If it didn't make you feel it, why? If it did make you feel it, why? Because people can learn from both. Unfortunately, I have run out of time. And I am turning this back over to Vera.